what are we going to do about this? If you're not familiar, Cassidy Hutchinson is one of the Trump aides that has turned on him and is reporting all of the terrible shenanigans that happened behind closed doors in the White House. I don't know if you're thinking this, but I can speak for myself when I watch her on talk shows and she says like, check out the audiobook. And like, I talk about this in my book. It feels a little bit to my liberal idealist brain like she's profiting from doing this. Now, obviously, that's a little bit of an oversimplification, right? She had to go into hiding for a year. She like burned bridges with basically all of her colleagues. And like Liz Cheney, she might have completely destroyed her future in politics. But setting aside that question, what business does she have like profiting from the downfall of democracy? Philosophers have a word for a kind of ethics called deontology that refers to rules-based systems. A lot of liberals like using rules-based systems. For example, do not profiteer from a catastrophe. But in contrast to deontology, or sometimes alongside deontology, is a frame of thinking called consequentialism or utilitarianism. Less about what rules should we be following, but which alternative is better for the most people or worse for the most people. We have a tendency to expect people to be martyrs in this society. I was a teacher for 4 years. I'm familiar with this, right? If you have good motivation, then like social workers and like teachers and like nurses, we should just expect you to just be treated like garbage for trying to do the right thing. And like, in case it's not clear to you, I think that that's backwards. Like in an incentive-based capitalist world, like we probably should be paying teachers a lot more. We should be paying social workers a lot more. People who do pro-social things for the world probably should be compensated more. So on reflection, if Hutchinson is profiting from doing the right thing, it doesn't bother me as much as it did on my knee-jerk reaction. Of course, there is another question, which is she dodging accountability for her role in January 6th and in COVID denial, and her role in these catastrophes we've witnessed in society? That's a fair question, but I have another question. Rather than looking backwards with theoretical ethics, I want to ask the forward-facing question of practical ethics. How did she get out? By her own admission, she was swayed by Trump's rhetoric. She felt it, and she felt like part of the community. And over time, her mind changed. How did that happen? Trump has not just been indicted, he has been convicted of fraud. And part of what we need to do as a world is help provide an off-ramp for people who are starting to see that he was a con man the whole time. Responding to someone who's in a vulnerable moment and like earnestly reflecting on the mistakes that they've made in the past with, well, you should have figured it out sooner, is like at best useless and at worst counterproductive and alienating. Dr. Benjamin has some quotes on page 25. In her book, you can go into a little bit more depth in this way of thinking there. I'll be reading this because I want to understand how to build an off-ramp for Republican radicalization.